Chris, it is great to have you with us today. How are you doing?
I'm amazing. How are you?
Awesome. Doing really good, man. Yeah, good to have you on the show. And Eric, always great to spend time with you. How are you doing today?
Absolutely doing great. Thank you, David. Appreciate it. Little change up here. We're going to do live here. This is a little different than normal.
Yeah, I love it. That's amazing. Well, hey, Chris, before we dive in, and I know we got a lot of great topics today, I was hoping you could kind of share a bit about your background and kind of your journey to where you are today.
Well, I would love to. My background, I went to school for exercise science. I have my degree in that. But I'm from a little town in the middle of nowhere called Dodge City, Kansas. You might be familiar with it, with like Boot Hill, Wyatt Earp. But in fact, it's a one high school town. So my opportunities were very limited, or at least my perspective of them. So I did the normal. I worked at a beef plant. That's what the majority of the people in the town do. I ran a shipping dock. I worked with USDA. I did that for about 6 years, and then I got married. In there, I kind of went to college and then came back because I didn't really know what else was out there. But so then I got married, and my wife wanted to finish college, and we moved to the big city, Wichita, Kansas.
Nice.
Dun, dun, right? And in fact, that's like the size of like one little section of Phoenix here, like Surprise, basically. Yeah, so then I ran a Walmart. I ran different Walmarts there for about 6 years. And then Walmart shut my store down. And they told me 15 minutes before they told the entire world that we're going to shut your store down. And I was like, well, this doesn't make much sense. A company that's this big has this poor communication. And while I understood why they did what they did to keep damage control, locked in, I was in an all African-American neighborhood with, I was like the only white manager there. And that was during the time of Black Lives Matter. But I had built a really good rapport with my people because of the way that I carried myself and the way I treated other people and the example that I set. Well, during that time when we lost the store, my wife got a promotion. She works for Cox Communications, and that brought us to Phoenix. I took a hardship transfer with Walmart to a store on 75th and Glendale here, and I met the market manager and the district manager, and I was like, hi, my name's Christopher Reeves. I'm from Kansas. I'm the transfer. They looked at me and laughed at me walked off. And I was like, this doesn't seem right. Like this doesn't correlate with my core values. And by this point, when I started with Walmart, I was 280 pounds, solid muscle. At this point in my life, I was 180 pounds, miserable. I had completely let go of everything that was important to me. All of my things that I had built about myself that I was proud of was gone because I had sacrificed everything for a company that I believed that would take care of me and my family. But in reality, I had just given to them and they didn't give anything of real value back other than a paycheck.
Yeah.
So my dad gave me a book called How to Lose at Everything and Still Win Big, I believe, by Larry Scott Adams. And in there, he talked about meeting a screw. The guy made screws. He was a CEO for that company, I believe. And he talked about the responsibility towards yourself and the agreement that you make with the company that you work for. And how if it ever gets out of balance, it's your responsibility to put it back in balance. And I had listened to that, read it a few times, and I was like, I can't do this at Walmart anymore. So I quit. My wife was like, you can't do this. You're dying. And I was like, all right. So I resigned, and then I went home and I tried to commit suicide because when I looked in the mirror, I didn't know the guy looking back at me. I remembered the guy that I was before I started Walmart because that was over. Now I was able to reflect, and I was like, dude, you let yourself down. You lost everything. You're a loser. And I was like, shit, I can't do this. Yeah. And my wife actually stepped up. She saw what I was about to do, and she checked me. She's like, what the fuck are you doing? I don't know if I can cuss, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
One of those moments where she checked me and she's like, "Hey, you have a responsibility that you agreed to with me by us getting married, that you would take care of me. And right now you're about to step out on that agreement." And I was like, all right, fair. I still don't feel good about myself. And she's like, well, you're also setting a bad example for our daughter.
Mm.
Now, is that the man you want to be? And I was like, no. I was starting to come out of it. And she's like, you need to take your ass back to the gym and become the man that I married. Be the man that I know that you can be. I was, I don't have a job. I don't have money coming in. How do I do this? She's like, it doesn't matter. I need you to get back to where you were. And I was like, all right. So she kind of forced me into it after all the rationalization that I had made, and called me on my lies or excuses. And I went back to the gym and I got a membership and I started working out, and things came back really fast. Previously, I was trying to become a pro bodybuilder. And after I started getting things back together, she rewarded me by taking me to a Mr. Olympia. That was my first one. Never thought that, I would ever be there. Growing up in Kansas, seeing the magazines, seeing the videos, and never really thinking that you could go. My family was poor. I mean, we had enough to get by, but we didn't have the abundance mindset that made me believe that I could do things. Mm-hmm. So she takes me there and I'm like blown away. The first guy I meet is a guy that I look up to, and I'm like, I'm bigger than you. And I start to have these ideas. Maybe I can do this. And then I get to meet my idol of bodybuilding, which was Jay Cutler. Oh, yeah. And I don't know if you've ever met one of the people that you look up to most of your life. I had that. My wife actually had to do the talking for me. My name's Chris. But he questioned me. He's like, hey, you ever thought about competing? And I was like, I can compete? And she was like, yeah, he wants to do that. And so he gave me a thing for his competition. And I sat and I looked at that for about a month. And then I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. And I just signed up. And then I started prepping myself for this competition. And I went, I competed, I got third in my first ever and only ever bodybuilding competition. I thought I did pretty well, but I also came to the realization that if I want to live, I can't do this sport. Yeah. I'm not built to be a professional bodybuilder, and the amount of drugs and other things that I would have to commit to would drastically shorten my lifespan, and that would ruin my agreement with my wife and with my daughter. Yeah. But what I got out of that was, how many other men out there that have put everything on the line to supply an income for their family is happening, and how are they doing a disservice to their family in the same way that I did? And then I started to recognize it. I started to see more and more of it, and I was like, that's my business. So I took what I learned from retail management and what I have with personal training and put it together and created Dapper and Fit. So now I appeal is by appeal, but how do we show that? How do we show that we can take care of other people better than the way we take care of ourselves? So that's my message with Dapper and Fit, and what we teach is, how can you take care of yourself the best to convey the message to others that you have the abilities to do the same for them.
Dang. Wow, that's a powerful story, man. I appreciate you sharing that and kind of walking us through your journey to get to this point, and ups and downs and a lot along the way. So thank you.
No, you're welcome. It's my honor.
Yeah. Well, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in there because I met Jay Cutler as well. And David, you and I were friends at the time when this happened. It was Hummerman.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was during
your roller coaster journey.
Yes, yeah, major low in my life. I had just torn my bicep, my left arm, and it was in a sling. I'd almost lost my arm because of the staph infection that I contracted. I was living in my truck, going through a tough time in my life with my going through a divorce, and I was driving around town. We were working for Express. It was middle of the day, and I literally heard on the radio that Jay Cutler was at High Health in Biltmore on 22nd and Camelback.
Okay.
And I'm like, drive off the freeway, and I'm like, I race over, and I get there, and he was just starting, and so I jumped in line. There was probably like 20 people in line already, and he had just started doing autographs. So I'm standing there, I'm waiting, and of course, my arm's in a sling. Right. My arm's in a sling. I'm easily at that point like 60, 70 pounds overweight. I'm completely out of shape. And I'm standing in line. I get to meet him. And he's going through it. He's signing. And I just want 2 seconds with him, right? Just for the experience. So we get through the whole thing. I get up there. Say, how you doing, man? I'm like, good. He's signing my picture that I got and everything. And he says, what'd you do your arm? I tore my bicep. How'd you do that? I was playing football. And so he stood there, and for 10 minutes, like everybody else was like, boom, 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 boom. But for me, he stood there for 10 minutes, and we had a full-on conversation. Right. Everybody behind me is kind of like, dude, what's going on? But he's sitting there, and he's the one asking me questions. It's not just me, right? And then I'm asking him questions, and it was a phenomenal experience.
Absolutely.
And he's awesome. Like if there's any hero that I would have in bodybuilding, he's definitely one of the top 5.
Well, and I want to speak to what you said about how he was engaging to you and was interested in your story.
Absolutely.
Because I had seen him multiple times after that, and he remembered us, and he did the same thing, and that kind of gave me an example of a person that I wanted to be like, and it leads me into being who I am today. I try to be very interested in other people.
Right.
You've been to one of my events where it's very inquisitive. I have a dinner for men called The Legacy of Leadership, a gentleman's dinner, and it's about other people. Yes, we show up to be our best, but we're there to find out about other men and how we can support other men and how we can all come together to be the best versions of ourselves for our families.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, as you guys are talking about important meetings and kind of life-changing events, Eric, I'm curious, how did you get connected with Chris?
Yeah, great question. So Chris and I met at Tab and Catherine. They owned the Networking Live, which used to be one of my clients was the woman who owned Networking. It was Networking Phoenix at that time, Gelly. And I had worked with her when she was looking to transition and sell the business, so I helped her with her valuation. But so then when she sold, one of the services she did to me is she introduced me to Tab and Catherine. Okay. So I got to know them, and then I get invited to their different opportunities that they had, and then we met that night before their big event last summer.
Yes.
And so we met at the bar. They did an evening event the night before their big full day workshop. They had a bunch of speakers come in and everything they did over in Scottsdale. But the night before, they did a mixer basically to kind of warm everybody up to. And so a bunch of people didn't know who all was going to be there, but that's where I met this guy.
And then they got to find out about Eric doing the splits. And I think that's the cool thing is like you ask questions, you get to find out about people, and like there's things about them that they want to express that they're proud of, and we should be creating opportunities for people to express that story.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, so he didn't believe me. No, it wasn't you. It was Shay. Shay Hillenbrand, who used to play for the Diamondbacks, was there that night. And he and I have met on many occasions, and we sit and talk all night about coaching and stuff like that. But that particular night, he was standing there, and there was you two, it was me, there was somebody else there. And somebody was like, oh, it wasn't like they didn't believe I couldn't do it, but I felt like I needed to prove myself. Yep. So I dropped down into the splits right there in the middle of everybody on the floor.
Eric, that was a mic drop moment or an Eric drop.
An Eric drop, yeah.
I was glad you had the right pants on. That's important.
Luckily, I was okay. Yeah.
It's like you knew that this was going to happen.
He's always ready. He's always ready to do this.
Always ready. We can talk about the time I kicked you in the head, David.
Yes, that was also surprising. Yeah. So I'm 6'5", and he got his foot to my head before I even knew what was happening. It was a standing knockout.
He goes to me, he goes, "What hand did you hit me with?"
He's like, my foot?
The one without the opposable thumb.
Good times.
Fun
Good
time.
times. Good
But yeah,
memories.
that's how we met. And he was. I felt like I had to prove myself in the moment. So to his point, right? They weren't really giving me the opportunity, so I had to prove myself.
There you go. Awesome. Well, Chris, you talked a bit about Dapper and Fit. I'm curious, can you give us a little bit more of an overview of some of the kind of services you provide and what you do for your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do anything that has to do with their image. And the foundation is, of course, our physical bodies. So how do we look when we're naked? That should be our most confident moments. And that's where we start at. Now, let's just say that a person is already in shape. They already understand the things that they need to do, the habits that they need to have established and developed to have a highly efficient body so they can operate at their best. Then we also offer the services of clothing, and that when we come down to putting their clothes together for them or buying clothes or whatever it has to do with their fashion, it's highly integrated around who they are as a person and their personal brand or their business brand. So if they're a CEO and they're speaking in front of groups, we find out kind of like who they are. So like for Eric, he's like charismatic and like that. And we would find clothes that match him, but also show that he is a competent business owner. So like we're expressing him, like we put a fun little pocket square in him so that he's intriguing because he's got a lot of cool stories. But then we also put clothes on him that make him look even more professional. You know, like we don't put like a loud patterned shirt on him so it just draws attention to a spot that he doesn't want attention drawn to.
Sure.
Things like that.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. Well, that's perfect because kind of our theme for today is crafting the perfect image. And Eric, right, with My Biz Coaches, he's working with coaches all the time. And a lot of them are new to the concept of business coaching and are kind of creating that image for the first time. So really excited to get your thoughts on it. And I think we'll just start with the basics. Why is it important for somebody, that's an aspiring business coach or new to business coaching to really focus on their image from your perspective?
Well, the thing that is first impression or really any influence all starts with what we see, unless you can't see anything and then other senses pick up. But on a survival instinct, we make judgment calls based off of what we see first. So would you eat green eggs if they were put in front of you?
Would be my first choice.
See what I mean? But in reality, those eggs could have been in tinfoil and it turned green. But because we have been taught that green things are potentially gone bad or they're poisonous or something like that, we make a cognitive decision based off of what we see to stray away from that. Yeah. So when it comes to our branding and like that, the first thing that we do when we're working with someone is find out what is the message that they want to send. What is the core values of their company? What do those things represent? And how do we incorporate that into them as an individual? So when they show up, people already have a good idea about what it is that they're going to get. There's no like left field shots that throws everybody off guard.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And you mentioned branding. I'm curious. I hear kind of a buzzword, personal branding, but it's meaningful. And I know that. And I'm curious, kind of what's your take or what does that mean to you when you talk about personal branding with your clients?
Well, who are you as an individual? And what is your morals and values represent you as? So, if a person says like, I am loving, I am caring, I am a person of integrity, I am disciplined. Well, what does that look like? What is that like? If you could paint a picture of that, what does that look like? And that goes back to the way we take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
So if you're disciplined, then you know that you're not doing things that would put your body in harm. And that shows by the way our physiques are. And if you pay attention to detail, then you're probably paying attention to the clothes you have on and how those colors flow and things like that.
Yeah.
But personal branding is just who we are as an individual and how do we send the message of who we might be to other people.
Yeah, that makes sense. Eric, I'm curious. I want to get your thoughts on this a little bit too. As you're working with new coaches, I mean, I'm sure you've seen some people that really understand, you know, that appearance, branding, image matter, and some that don't. Do you want to speak a little bit to maybe how you've worked with some new coaches to better understand the importance of image?
Yeah, well, and I'm gonna start with an experience that we just recently had. I went to a NARUP, National Hispanic Realtors Association, Professional Real Estate Association. They had a marketing, branding, personal branding summit, for lack of a better term, I guess. About a 2-hour session. They had a board of people, and all people who have built a brand. So they had the co-founder of State 48 was there. There's a gentleman who's got a $6 million a year brokerage that he runs. He's got 64 different agents, and he's got a very specific brand, personal brand. He's a very fit guy, all that kind of stuff. And then there was 2 women that are on that board, by the way, on my wife's board, where they were speaking about their personal brands and what they've done to build their brands as a real estate agent and a mortgage person. One of the women talked extensively about personal branding, which I recorded and shared some of that on some of the clips that we posted on LinkedIn. But the one woman that spoke to her, she developed this concept for her personal brand of she wears a pink outfit whenever she's out and about.
Statement piece.
Yeah, exactly. And so that pink outfit resonates. And it was funny because as she was talking about it, there were a number of people, there was probably 125 people in attendance. There were a number of people that are very familiar with her, came to hear her specifically, and resonated immediately as soon as she said the pink outfits. They're like, oh, she looks so cute. Yeah, exactly. She looks so cute. She's this, she's that. But she was probably of all 4 of them, the one that really resonated the most in regards to specific image and how I carry myself when I'm out and about, and what that, why I wear what I wear, why I picked this particular color scheme. It's a pink and a yellow, and she has this pink outfit and she's the yellow, and it goes across all of her brand.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow.
It's on her business card. It's on her website. It's in her social media. So I say that to start my comment, because I think that is a very compelling point. And as Chris alluded to, it's like wearing the right colors, right? We're wearing colors that are better for you. And I'm not one to speak to that necessarily. I would have to definitely defer to Chris in that regard. But knowing, picking the right colors for you, like the colors you wear when you're speaking. David, we were talking earlier about my speaking engagement we did last summer,
yeah, right,
and all the video recording we had, and I wore my 3-piece suit. Well, for me, I'm comfortable in that. And that's going back to a point that Chris made earlier. When I wear that suit, that particular suit, the color that I feel good in that suit. And that immediately, just putting that suit on,
boom.
Yes, exactly. It anchors me. I'll take an Anthony Robbins piece. It immediately anchors me and puts me in a level of confidence. So, ditch the, and matter of fact, even anytime that I speak in an engagement, even if I'm wearing jeans because it's a low key environment, I'll still wear my jacket. Just because it helps me and mentally it anchors me into a different place. So that's the piece that I help on my coaches understand. And I don't care if you're 25 or you're 65, you want to dress in a way that makes you feel comfortable. So don't try and wear something that's not you, right? I'm overweight. There's certain things I should not be wearing that are going to make me feel uncomfortable. Right. And so there's a psychology behind it as well, because that
attention to the wrong area of your body.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you're self-conscious, there's no way you're delivering on the message that you really want, because in the back of your head, you're questioning yourself.
Yeah, you're diverting attention and energy from what you need to be on, and you're trying to suppress a feeling that shouldn't necessarily exist. Like, there's ways to go around it.
Right.
And I would like to put a point to what he was saying with the clothing and the confidence. I make the comparison of knights and shining armor. One, it was really expensive to have armor back in those days.
Right.
2, they had a specific purpose. And when those guys put that on, it became time to do business.
Yeah.
And today's armor is our clothes or our uniforms when we show up. Military has it, police officers have it, even business people. Like we put on, like you said, the suit, and then all of a sudden his mind clicks in place of the task at hand and what he's got to do, because he's conditioned himself into believing when this goes on, I own the room.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Well said. Well, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Eric.
No, I was just agreeing. That's exact. And his final statement was perfect, because when I put that suit on, and and I say that suit, but I've a handful of them, but I put the suit on, and I'm like, I own the room. When I walk in the room, it's my room now.
And do people treat you differently?
Absolutely.
Like if you walked in like this and you walked in with the suit, is there a clear difference in the way people?
Absolutely. I mean, even just wearing a jacket, I'll often hear people say, like, I'll go to a networking event and be like, "Oh, what are you all dressed up for?" I'm like, "This is just a blazer."
You're
No
like,
big
what?
deal. But I immediately recognize, okay, so anytime I speak, I'm going to be wearing a jacket.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that helps that credibility piece.
It influences the perspective of the people that view you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you to bring it full circle, David, when you talk about coaching, you need to own the room. You want people to respect what you're about to say. So regardless of what your topic is, you want people to respect you. And as Chris brought up, right, we're trained, right or wrong, we are trained to what we look at, what we see is immediately going to create an expectation in our minds. So if the image is not up to par relative to what our expectations are in regards to the information we're about to see, it waters it down.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's important, Eric. That was actually one of my next thoughts or questions for you guys is, coaches have to do a lot of networking. Eric, you did a ton of networking. That's like your second job, really, is you're out there getting your name out, you're in rooms with different people all the time, and that's how you're promoting yourself in My Biz Coaches. And I think about a new coach that's going into that environment for the first time. They may not know how to own the room. And so, Chris, I'd love to get any additional thoughts you have on that, on, what does it take to own the room, right? You got the suit or the dress or whatever, but any other thoughts on how to own the room?
Well, I believe it starts with the minute you wake up in the morning. And if you set an alarm for yourself and you hit that snooze button, you already started the cycle of discrediting yourself. You told yourself, I'm going to do this. And then the minute that you deny it, you've already started this cycle. Well, if you wake up, even though you're maybe a little tired, and get going on your things start to build. You start to get wins. And so then if it comes time, like it's, 7:00 at night and you got a networking event and you've been up since 4 a.m. and you started off with a win, most likely you've created other wins and you have that to fall back on. Nice. And if you, let's just say, put your jacket on and your mind frame clicked in, I'm ready for business, and you've already got some wins behind you, you're more likely to go in that room and be confident about who you are.
Yeah.
Because I think at the end of the day, a win is more about the way that we feel about ourselves, because we can't control the way other people feel about us. All we can control is the effort that we put out and the actions that we take.
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense. Well, I'm curious. I know you've got kind of an approach or a system or a process that you use. I believe it's called the Blueprint. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, the Blueprint dives into the message that we want to send to other people. And it starts out with identifying who it is as a man that you want to be remembered as at your funeral. And a lot of times people are like, wow, that's deep. And fortunately enough, it's got to be deep, because we're deep. We're not just surface layer. Like, I got more going on than just a cool jacket on, right? I've got stories, like we alluded to in the very beginning, that give me depth of who I am. But once we understand who it is that we want to be remembered as and what that looks like, then we can start taking actions to being that person. And once we understand those actions, then we can start creating the next steps. Like, all right, you want to be an integrable man. You want to be liked by the community. You want to be a great example for your family. so on and so forth. All right, we know the steps. You got to go out, you got to shake hands, you got to treat people the way you want to be treated. You got to show up for your family, not just sit on the couch once you've worked all day. You got to wash some dishes, play ball with the kid, even though you're tired. You got to smile. You can't just yell at people. Like, there's all these things. And so once we figured those out, then we've identified the actions that you take. Then we also start looking at, well, what foods do you need to eat to have that body? What clothes do you need to wear to send that message? What car do you need to drive so when you get in it that you're happy? Because when you show up at that place, you've just been in that car. We're in Phoenix. I just drove a little over an hour just to be here with Eric.
Right.
I got to get out of that car being happy, because if I just drove a bucket, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be pissed off. And, honestly, the people on the road don't make it any easier. So I might as well be in a car that I'm proud of.
Yeah.
And then we look at like friends and partner, like who our spouses, and what are all these things actually look like? What does the image look like for us to be the man that we want to be in the end?
Yeah. I love that, man. That's awesome. And what a powerful system. Really cool. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I'm thinking, right? So I'm imagining somebody that's kind of going through that journey, right? I'm thinking, of course, business coach, right? That's what the show is all about. But they're going through, and let's say they're getting their body in shape, they're eating the right foods, they're dressing the right way. Inevitably, they're going to run into an environment where, maybe they're new to coaching and they think to themselves, am I really ready for this? And that imposter syndrome starts to kick in. Or even they've been doing it a while and a big client comes along. And Eric, I know you've probably seen this or had coaches deal with this where, man, I'm not ready for a client this big, and they start to second guess themselves. So I'm curious, how do you work with people in those situations that maybe have imposter syndrome and help them get through that?
Well, I think let's establish what imposter syndrome is first. My understanding of it is the lack of confidence. When we look at our abilities, do they line up with what we're projecting to be able to do? And oftentimes, confidence can be diluted if we don't have the ability to reflect back on our past and be able to see the wins, the mistakes that created opportunities for us to evolve, and be able to speak towards them. Mm-hmm. Now, once we understand how confidence is created through competency. So incompetency is created through taking action. So the minute that we start taking action and we start journaling it out, writing and seeing what we're able to do, what we've done, how we've overcome it, then we can assess our competency and be like, you know what, I got this. I've done these things, and that makes me qualified. So then all of a sudden, if we woke up in the morning and did what we said we were going to do, and we reflect on the things that we have done and give ourselves credibility for the changes and the wins, then imposter syndrome starts to go away, because we have the ability to reflect and relate. So now all of a sudden it's like, you know what? I read back a while, like 6 months ago, I wasn't really good at this, but I worked on it and I got really good at it. So where else in my life is this happening? And if let's just say it's a networking event, walk into a networking event, this is brand new, I've never been into it, can be kind of intimidating. Well, if I have the ability to use relativity and be able to look like, well, the first time I walked into the gym, I didn't know what I was doing. I couldn't push the weight. Well, I did it and I got better. And then the way that we speed line to it is we hire a coach. Yeah. So business side may not have all the experience in it. You're going to go hire someone like Eric that's going to be like guiding you through, supporting you, but still challenging you to do more. And that's what I do in the gym. I bring these guys in and I utilize the gym to show them that you can overcome difficult times by going through difficult things. And the easiest way to put someone through something difficult is in the gym. Like he brought up Tab Pierce, and I got a funny story about this. Put him on the leg press, had him at like 250 pounds. He popped him out. I moved the pin down. And he wanted to look at it. And I was like, no, you're not looking at it. He's like, why? I want to know. And I said, just do the weight.
Yeah.
And he did it. And then he looked, he's like, oh, 315 pounds. I was like, yeah, you did pretty good. You didn't know what it was. Did that bother you? He's like, kind of, because I didn't know. He's like, but I did it. And I was like, all right, one more set. I put it down. I put it out all the way at the bottom. And he went to look again. And I was like, you know, you're not supposed to look. He's like, okay. And then he went to do it. And it was hard because it's like close to 400 pounds. It was hard. And he was like, I don't know if I can do this. I was like, I'm right here with you, and stop fucking questioning yourself and just do the work already. I said, would you do this in your business? He's like, no. He's like, so why are you doing it right now?
Yeah.
Okay. And then he does it. He did like 6 reps.
Nice.
And I was like, now look at the weight. He was like, I did that? I was like, yeah, but you almost didn't because you questioned yourself.
Right.
Now, the point I was getting to is the support. Having someone there that's willing to hold you accountable to being your best. And sometimes that's calling somebody out and being like, you got more than that. You can do better than what you're doing. And I believe in you, and you know you can because you've proved it in other parts of your life.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. As I'm hearing you talk, I'm thinking about your show, right? Man Up and Own It. I'm wondering, can you tell us a bit about that? Because I'm just seeing glimpses of it right there in that conversation.
Oh, absolutely. So the Man Up and Own It show is designed and dedicated to helping men by sharing the stories and the experiences of other successful men that have gone through difficult times and how they got through it, in hopes for other men out there to see it and be able to resonate with it and possibly do something better so they can be a better example in their family.
Oh, I love it, man. That's awesome. We'll post a link up here in a minute, QR code to your site where people can find out more about that. But yeah, definitely check it out. A lot of good stuff there. As we wrap up, and you've shared a lot of great stuff with us, anything else you want to share about your work at Dapper and Fit?
You know, I don't really have a lot other than, you know, what we try to do is help people become the best versions of themselves by helping them be the most confident when they don't have anything on. This is our most vulnerable moment. And this is when you should be able to look in that mirror and be like, you know what? I'm the man.
Yeah.
I can do it because I've done this.
Awesome. I love it. Well, hey, Chris, thanks for all your time, man. Great insights today. And like I said, if you guys want to learn more about Chris, connect with him, scan the QR code. We'll also have a link in the show notes in the description here. So definitely check it out. And yeah, find out about what he's doing, get plugged into the blueprint and become a better version of yourself. So thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Eric, anything you want to share about MyBiz Coaches before we wrap up? Anything new or exciting? This is kind of your platform for announcements. And I was trying to push you to let the cat out of the bag. Let's see what you got today.
Yeah. So I want to circle back just one comment about
Sure.
what Chris does, and I just think it's super important for people to understand the value that the image coaching, right, the personal branding that really brings to the table, particularly in today's day and age. If you're going to be successful in a coaching environment, if you're going to be successful putting yourself out there, you're going to have to be on video. You're going to have to put yourself out. You're going to come on shows like this. It's going to be a video. Yes, you can do audio, but quite honestly, at the end of the day, people want to see people. People want to connect with you on video. And if you're not confident, you know, you talk about the imposter syndrome. If you're not confident on camera, it's going to impede your ability to grow your business. Mm-hmm. Everything is moving to video. Everything is moving to digital. The reality is, at the end of the day, that if you don't get over those apprehensions, if you can't be comfortable in front of a room, you're going to lose credibility. You're going to miss out on, I don't care how smart you are, you're going to miss out on somebody who's more capable, more willing Absolutely. To be out there in front of everybody. And you take the smartest guy in the room. You know, you take a really smart lawyer, you take a really smart accountant, CFO, something like that, and they're not comfortable being on camera. They're going to miss out on opportunities. And
right.
And I just, as we look at the coaching space, we have recognized MyBiz Coaches, this is what we're going to have to help people to make the leap into being a successful coach, because that's, like I said, it's what people see. Mm-hmm. It's the first thing, and it's what they're looking for. They want to be able to make that connection on video and kind of tie in. So that's what, and I think that's, as we make this pivot with My Biz Coaches and really focus on helping coaches grow their businesses, we're going to have more people like Chris to help them understand how do we get the branding, how do we get the image, how do we extend that, how do we carry ourselves in the room, right? All those types of things. And so our focus for the foreseeable future with My Biz Coaches is really kind of tying that together between the content, right? And Chris mentioned one more thing he mentioned was the making the agreements with yourself and keeping those agreements.
Yeah.
I think that's exceptionally important. And whether or not I get up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. or I do my workout today or I don't do my workout today, or whatever those agreements are with myself, when I keep those agreements to myself, subconsciously that's increasing my commitment, my buy-in, and that level of confidence that I have. Right. And then he brought, the great point was at the end of the day, if I've done enough of those, at the end of the day at 7 o'clock, when I have to go to that networking group, I'm like, I think I'm just going to kick off and go home for the night. Right. No, you've got enough wins under your belt that you're like, no, you feel confident. I want to go win the room now. And so I think that's a piece. You're asking me what's my announcement. I don't have anything big other than to acknowledge that that's our commitment to the people that are following our brand and understanding if you want to become a successful coach, this is an important component and you're going to have to adapt, and we can help you do that.
And not just in coaching, also in your whole life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Well said. Well, hey, Chris, one more time. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Good to meet you and great having you on the show. Eric, we'll see you on the next episode. And to our audience, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode as well. See ya.
Thank you.